Okay, now Primary 5s. Now this set of revision notes is meant to help you. Now I call this revision notes and not revision worksheet because a set of notes is meant for you to read and understand. However, I find that the kind of notes will be too passive, and if you just read it, it may not trigger your brain to think more actively. So I put in the notes together with the questions. So as you read the notes, and you can try the questions to test your own understanding. So the notes will be in this portion here. Now all these are not new. These are things I've taken from the MOE syllabus. So this tells you the big idea behind diversity. As you know, in science, you are learning 5 different themes: diversity, cycles, interactions, systems, and energy. Alright, so we'll go through a few of these different themes in this set of revision notes. Now I must remind you, this is not an exhaustive list. This set of revision notes is not just to help you with your mid-year exam. Alright, you can use it at any point in time. You can use it in year end as well. Alright, and you should be revising regularly. So this is just to help you to get started if you have not started any revision. Right, so this is a general idea behind diversity. There's a great variety of living and non-living things in the world. Man wants to organize all these great variety of living and non-living things. So how do we organize them? So we classify them. And how do we classify them? Using their general characteristics. Alright, so mankind devised, okay, this group of animals, for example, are covered with fur, so we will call them mammals. This group of animals, they lay eggs, so they are not mammals, they are something else. This group of animals with 6 legs, so that they are insects. So and so forth, right? So although they are so different, yet there are some common features, common characteristics that we can use to identify and to classify them into different groups. So that's the main big idea behind diversity, why we are learning about this. And of course, if we're talking about diversity of living things, you must know living things need air, food, and water to survive, to grow, to respond to changes in the environment, and to reproduce, of course. And based on this, we take a look at how living things are reproducing. Some reproduce by laying eggs, some reproduce by giving birth to their young alive. Right? And we talk about their characteristics, their body coverings, the number of legs they have, and whether they have feathers, they have scales, they have fur, alright, and how they breathe. Do they use lungs or gills or moist skin? And therefore, and you are supposed to observe these different living things, and of course later on will be non-living things, and from those pictures you are supposed to infer the differences and similarities between them, and then classify them into broad groups. Now, so let's get started with this question. Now for those who have the worksheet at home, you can I will hope that you have tried it first before you do this. For those without the worksheet, you may download the worksheet from the link in the description box. You may also go to Class Dojo if you are my student, and your parents will have the link to class to the file to be downloaded, or you can go to SLS and access this video and the file. Alright, now so for those without the worksheet with you, what you can do, you can just pause the video, think through the answer in your head and try it. But the best thing I think is really you got to try the questions first, whether you're trying in your head or try on paper. Try it first before you start. Okay, pause the video anytime you need to watch it. So I think I've gone on long enough for the preamble. Let's start. The table shows 4 characteristics of animals. A tick represents that animal has that characteristics. So what is a crocodile? Now crocodile is a reptile. A reptile is an animal that has a scaly skin as a body covering, dry scaly skin. So you see that animal A has a tick here, animal C has a tick here. So both of these could be the answer. And we know that reptiles reproduce by laying eggs. So here, okay. Now the next one is tricky. Right? Why is it tricky? Because you will see, oh, live on land and in water. And you know, if you watch some shows or you have some general knowledge, you may think a crocodile is an animal that lives on land and water. However, here you got to be very careful because this is a reptile. Not all reptiles live in water. So this doesn't describe the general characteristics of this animal called crocodile. Now this description, live on land and water, is used to describe amphibians. Now, why is it that this is used to describe only amphibians? Because amphibians can breathe using their lungs on land and breathe using their and breathe through their moist skin when they are in water. But for reptiles, that is not their general characteristics. Typically, they have dry skin covered with scale, and of course, they lay eggs. Now, this is found on page 46 of your diversity textbook. So therefore, for those who chose 1 as your answer, you got tricked. Alright, you got to, or rather, you got to revise this. This description is meant for amphibians. Because I show you a different kind of reptile that doesn't live in water, and therefore you cannot use this. Okay, so what describes the crocodile best? Got to talk about the general characteristics, and that answer will be C. Next one, list all the classification. Look at this chart here. Things, living things, swan, tree, non-living things, bridge, lamppost. Very simple question. So what represents A? A must be a living thing. So living thing is a squirrel, butterfly. Now leaf is a living thing, but when you say dried leaf, it means that this leaf has died, it has withered. If it has withered, it's dead. Okay, so it can be either 2 or 3. Non-living things. Chair is a non-living thing, so answer here is 3. Okay, next question. Now, which of the following observation is matched correctly to the characteristics of living things? Alright, which of these? So let's take a look. Frog lay eggs is the observation. Is that linked to the characteristics? So here we go back to our notes. These are the few characteristics of living things. They need water, food, and air to survive. They grow, they respond to changes in the environment, and they reproduce. So if we look at this here, a frog lay eggs. This must be about reproduction. So this is the wrong description, the wrong characteristics. Alright? A caterpillar changes into a butterfly. This one shows it growing, right, from a young to an adult. This doesn't talk about growing. This is also a wrong description. A boy moved his foot away from a sharp object. This is about responding to changes, not about reproduction. So this is also wrong. Millipede curls up when it is touched. This is about responding to changes. So yeah, this is a correct characteristic, and this observation can be matched to this. So the answer here is 4. Next question. The table shows some characteristics of 2 plants, X and Y. Alright, so there's a table. You must learn how to read tables. These will be the headings. This will be the different things. You can look across in rows as well as in columns when you try to understand a table. So for example, this will mean that plant Y is does not grow in water. Plant Y grows on land. That's what it means. Plant X bear flowers. Plant X have no spores under the leaves. So let's see. So plant X grows in water. So I look at grows in water. X must be under this. But which one? X bear flowers. So it got to be this one, flowering. So P would be X. So P here, X will be under group P. Now how about Y? Y grows on land. So I'll choose here, Y is on land. Is Y a flowering plant? No. Non-flowering plant doesn't bear flowers. So Y will be under this. So S here will be Y. Now, we also know, okay, let's take a look at this next part of the notes, right? This will be, okay, we'll go to this in a while. Let's carry on with one more question on living things. Sometimes you're given a table and flow diagram like this. Sometimes the flow diagram looks like this. It's a classification chart, whereby I classify them based on yes or no responses to questions. So animals here, does it have scales? Yes. Does it lay eggs? Yes. Does it have scales? No. Does it lay eggs? Yes. Can it fly? No. So we're supposed to describe characteristics of animal G. So what do we go? What do? We look at all these things that link to G right from the top here. Okay, so I will say that G has no scales, lay eggs, and cannot fly. I got to use all this to describe G because these are all the information given to me. Let's double check. G, does it have scale? No. G, does it lay eggs? Yes. G, can it fly? No. And therefore G is described by all these three things. Now typically, this would be the characteristic that describe G. This, usually we don't describe an organism using what it does not have. Right, that'd be strange. Right, so if how you describe Mr. Long, you will talk about me having 4 limbs. Alright, limbs. 2 hands, 2 arms and 2 legs. You will not describe me as not having 6 limbs. But since this question is designed this way, we answer it based on this way. Okay? Now sometimes you're also asked to classify non-living things. So non-living things have different characteristics. You must know the few things like strength, flexibility, waterproof, transparency, ability to float or sink in water. You must know all of these 5 different physical properties of materials. And you also have to know these few different types of materials: ceramics, fabric, glass, metal, plastics, rubber, wood. And you must be able to match all these to their different physical characteristics. And the focus is always on how we use the materials based on their property. Because the idea is in real life, you're going to apply this knowledge, right, in the choosing the right material for the job. For those of you who have gone through P3 here, you have gone through the boat building experience, so you would definitely understand why this is important. I need my boat to float. So the hull of the boat must be made of something that can float on water. Things like that. Okay? So understand that flexibility is ability to bend without breaking. So there are some clue words to tell you which one, right? Clue words for strength will be something about breaking or not breaking. Clue words for flexibility is about bending. Clue words for waterproof, of course, is about absorbing or not absorbing water. Clue words about transparency will be letting light pass through or does not let light pass through. Ability to float or sink in water is simply whether it can float or sink. So take note of all these clue words. They will tell you which property is being discussed in the question. Let's see if this is true. 2 boxes of the same mass were hung on materials A and B made of 2 different materials. They are of identical size and color. Okay, so this is material, and then they hang 2 boxes at the ends of this, trying to tear it. And the word tear is not present here, but you notice this part here, this shows something tearing or breaking. And tearing and breaking is linked to strength. Okay, so what can we conclude about material A and B? The question asks you what can we conclude about material A and B. So there are 2 things you must take note of. Firstly, what is a property being tested here? It's about strength. Second thing you must take note of, they're comparing 2 things, A and B. This one, tall. Material B tall when you hang this box there. Material A did not tear. So you're supposed to compare which one is stronger. So conclusion is A is stronger than B. And that will be your answer. Alright, if you cannot answer this, it means that you didn't manage to identify the correct physical property that was being discussed. And why is it that you couldn't identify? It could be because you didn't understand, oh, this is about breaking and tearing, and there's a clue the teachers have given to me to tell me, hey, this question is about strength. Let's go on to the next one. Let's revise something on systems. Remember, girls, this is a quick revision on the different themes. It's not meant to be exhaustive. A system is a whole consisting of parts that work together to perform a function. Now, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to make another video just on systems. So the first one is to revise diversity. Okay? You may take a break, have a drink, have some snack, and you come back again and try this.